So do you ever feel like you're just going in circles, going round and round, doing the same thing over and over again? Change is one of the hard things that we have as human beings. We don't like things different. One of the new trends that has come to the United States is that of roundabouts. Oftentimes it's met with apprehension from individuals because they're just not used to them. Maybe we've seen the scenes like this out of National Lampoon, where Clark Griswold spends hours on end in circles stuck in the roundabout in England, telling his family, there's Buckingham Palace, there's Big Ben. The negative connotations that have gone on with roundabouts for many years, though, is simply due to misinformation. And although we don't like change, roundabouts, when we look at the benefits that it has, we'll see that this is the right direction to go. So this is a general roundabout intersection. I took this photo 2 weeks ago in Junction City, Kansas, and we'll kind of go look as we go through this about how these roundabout intersections work. But I'll learn first a little bit about the history of roundabouts. The first roundabout actually came about as a circular junction, is what it was called, in 1768 in Somerset, England. Obviously vehicles weren't around then, so they weren't truly what we know as roundabouts. But roundabouts began to take place in Europe and really gain traction there in the 1960s, moving on to where they have well over 10,000 within the first decade. The first roundabout in the United States, though, was not built until 1990 in Summerlin, Nevada. The Transportation Research Board reported only 9 state agencies in the United States used roundabouts as of the late 1990s. But by 2016, that number had already grown to 38 states. Carmel, Indiana leads the nation in roundabout intersections with over 138 installed in their city, with significant reductions in accidents, acknowledging that in the first 10 years, they had a 80% reduction in injury accidents. Carmel, Indiana, as such, is rated the number 4 suburb to live in, according to niche.com. A lot of that has to do with just the ease of transportation, the flow of traffic. So what are some of the benefits? Well, the efficiency of roundabouts. A roundabout looks like this, where a car enters in, they can go all the way around to the left, enter in and go straight across, or turn right. One of the great benefits of this is the fact that traffic is not hindered or stopped at a stoplight. There's always a constant flow of traffic. If you're like me, you hate waiting at an intersection. You don't know if the light's timed, or if it's not timed, if you're gonna make it, if the car in front of you is gonna go, if the person in front of you is gonna check their phone first and then decide to go. Roundabouts help ease the flow of traffic. In fact, oops, I got ahead there. In fact, when we look at roundabouts there, a typical roundabout can handle 20 to 26,000 vehicles a day in there. So for that reason there, we'll see that roundabouts provide a great efficiency to the flow of traffic. How about the safety of roundabouts? I mentioned already a little bit ago that Carmel, Indiana has 138, and they quickly saw a reduction in injury accidents up to 80%. This here is from the Federal Highway Administration, an insurance institute for highway safety. This is what they found when we're talking about reductions in accidents. 75% reduction in injury accidents. Why? Well, let's get through these. 90% reduction in fatality accidents. 40% reduction in pedestrian accidents. The biggest reason that we see the reduction here of 90% in fatality accidents is because at a 4-way intersection, you have vehicles going north, south, east, west, some turning while some are going straight, whereas at a roundabout, all the vehicles are going the same direction and they're all merging in. So it nearly eliminates any possibility for a head-on collision. Also, when you look at the way that roundabouts are constructed, they're constructed so that the drivers entering have to slow down to get into the roundabout, thus lowering the speed. So you nearly eliminate any type of fatality accidents that go along with that. And in addition, since you're going at a lower rate of speed, you also reduce the amount of injury accidents. Because the flow and the way that those are designed, pedestrian accidents are also reduced. So we talked a little bit here about just some of the efficiencies that go with roundabouts. We talked about the safety of roundabouts, but then there's some other ones. Economic feasibility. So when we look at these roundabouts, again, I stated earlier that a lot of times they're met with apprehension just because we don't know how they work. Poor design, such as we see like in Delano District, has to do with a lot of people's apprehensions towards them. But in addition to what we already saw, there's also some economic feasibility. Here's a little bit. One, CO2 reduction of 21%. Nitrous oxide reduction of 16%. Carbon emissions reduction of 19%. And a fuel reduction of 26%. This was a New York Department of Transportation study that was done a few years back. So when all those, as a driver, you save money because you're not being stopped at an intersection for so long. And since you're not stopped at intersections and the flow of traffic continues, you will also see that there's going to be a reduction in the gases that your vehicle emits during that time. They're also cheaper to maintain. There's no street lights or traffic lights at a roundabout. The cost of running traffic lights 24/7 in a busy intersection or non-busy intersection goes up quite a bit. When you don't have those, that eliminates that continuous cost to a city. They also, because they do use overall, they'll use less asphalt generally or concrete. They're a little cheaper when you are reconstructing or constructing them. There is a general difference though that goes between a restructure of a intersection versus creating a new intersection. When you're creating a new intersection, the cost is pretty similar. Whereas when you are redesigning one, it's often a little bit more expensive to install a roundabout, but the benefits pay out in the long term. Another benefit is found from the International Institute of Highway Safety. And what they maintain and what they have seen in their studies is that insurance also plays a big part in this. Because we saw the reduction in accidents versus head-on or collision accidents, fatality accidents, and such like that, the cost of insurance is actually greatly reduced in communities that use roundabouts correctly. So, where are we headed? I hope after today you've at least seen a little bit as to the fact that roundabouts are more efficient for travel. Roundabouts are safer for travel. Roundabouts are more cost effective. And though we might not always like change, realistically, roundabouts are the way to go. How long did I hit?